What do a sheriff, a soccer ball, and a long bus ride have in common? Today's topic, Mauricio Pochettino.
Hi, I'm Leah, feeling totally excited today.
And I'm Garrett. Can't wait to dive into today's topic.
Welcome to Laid Back Learning with Leah and Garrett.
All right, let's set the stage for this one. Mauricio Roberto Pochettino, Argentine by birth, Spanish citizen as well, former center back, and now the head coach of the United States men's national team. That's a journey with some mileage on it, right?
Picture this. I once tried to copy a Pochettino-style high press in a weekend rec league game. For context, a high press is when your team defends super high up the field to win the ball back near the opponent's goal. I sprinted after their center backs for like 5 minutes and was absolutely cooked. I was begging our keeper to fake an injury so I could catch my breath. That's when it clicked for me how much conditioning and coordination it takes to run his system without falling apart.
Let's open the book on who he is and what he does. Mauricio Pochettino is widely known for playing and coaching with intensity. As a manager, he loves a high-pressing, attacking approach. Think of his teams like a well-oiled machine on a moving walkway. The walkway is the press, constantly carrying you forward, and the machine parts are the players moving in sync. He often sets up in a 4-2-3-1, which is 4 defenders, 2 holding mids, 3 attacking mids, and 1 striker, but he's flexible and will morph shapes to fit the squad. A big thing with him is youth development. He promotes academy players, teaches a consistent style, and expects young guys to step in, ready to run and press.
And he didn't just wake up one day and choose chaos. The roots go back to Marcelo Bielsa, the Argentine coach famous for relentless intensity and development. Pochettino absorbed that at Newell's Old Boys in Rosario. When he was a teenager in Murphy, Santa Fe, he was so committed he took a bus almost 160 miles twice a week to train. He even studied agriculture at a school about 20 miles from home. That's grit. Then at Newell's, he wins league titles, reaches a Copa Libertadores final, and learns this pressing first vertical game that becomes his identity.
Early days also gave him a unique nickname, the Sheriff. Partly his rugged defending, partly a family nod because his grandfather had been a sheriff in Murphy. At Espanyol in Spain, where he really became a stalwart, he was known for tight physical marking. One of his legend moments as a player came in 1997 when he man-marked Ronaldo, the Brazilian superstar, in a Barcelona derby and shut him down in a 2-0 win. That was Espanyol's first derby victory in a decade. That's pretty cool, right?
Totally. I also love the loyalty thread in his story. In the late 90s, he's tempted by bigger Spanish clubs like Valencia, but stays at Espanyol. They win the Copa del Rey in 2000, their first major trophy in 60 years. Later, the club can't finance a long-term deal, so he goes to Paris Saint-Germain. In France, he wins the Intertoto Cup, reaches the French Cup final, then moves to Bordeaux, and eventually returns to Espanyol to close out his playing career in 2006. Along the way, he also plays for Argentina at the 2002 World Cup under Bielsa. That blend of experiences in Argentina, Spain, and France set him up with a wide-angle view of football cultures.
And then the switch flips to coaching. He earns his UEFA Pro license in December 2008, which is the top coaching credential in Europe. And by January 2009, he's managing Espanyol. The club is in trouble near the bottom. With only 2 training sessions, he goes up against Pep Guardiola's Barcelona in the Cup and grinds out a 0 using a coordinated high press and one-on-one principles. That's audacious. Then comes the famous league win at Camp Nou, Espanyol's first there in 27 years. That early rescue act cements his style and man-management reputation under pressure.
Why did that work so fast? 2 sessions feels like nothing.
Because his model is principle-driven. If you can get 11 players to shorten distances, step on triggers, and trust the press, you can disrupt rhythm immediately. Triggers are little cues, like a bad opponent touch or a pass into a fullback, that tell the nearest players to hunt the ball. It's less about memorizing pages of tactics and more about hardwiring a few rules everyone buys into. Plus, he's big on conditioning and clarity. Those 2 sessions weren't about complexity, They were about courage and timing.
Then he heads to England with Southampton in 2013. For anyone new to that club, it's a Premier League team on the South Coast with a strong academy tradition. He modernizes their approach with that Bielsa-flavored press and finishes 8th, their best in years. That's where the youth development theme really catches fire. Then Tottenham Hotspur, a London giant, hires him in 2014. He raises up Harry Kane, Dele Alli, and Eric Dier into full England regulars. One season they hit second place with 86 points, which was Spurs' best Premier League tally. And of course, 2019 brings the Champions League final after Lucas Moura's hat-trick against Ajax. What a twist.
Speaking of twists, the 2016 draw at Chelsea, where Tottenham's title chase effectively ended. It was chaos. 9 yellow cards. It showed how emotionally invested and combative that team was under him. Still, football's a results business. After a rough patch in 2019, he's sacked. He then takes PSG in 2021, wins the Trophée des Champions, takes the Coupe de France, has that massive 4-1 in Barcelona in the Champions League, and later wins Ligue 1 in 2022. That checks the silverware box on his CV in a big way.
Then Chelsea in 2023. New leadership structure, very young squad, lots of moving parts. He reaches a domestic cup final but loses late to Liverpool and finishes the season strong. Still, by May 2024, he parts ways. Reports talked about friction with the sporting directors, different views on squad balance and experienced leadership, and even specialist staff setup like a set-piece department. That tension between a manager's dressing room instincts and a director-led, data-heavy model is a modern storyline across clubs.
And then the big pivot. In September 2024, he takes over the U.S. men's national team, the USMNT. It's a unique job. Reports say around $6 million a year, part funded by private donors like Ken Griffin, a high-profile American financier, and supported by partners. That's unprecedented investment here. He references the 2026 World Cup at home, a strong player pool, and familiarity with figures like Matt Crocker, a U.S. soccer technical leader, and Emma Hayes, who leads the U.S. women's team. Expectations got real, really fast.
Results-wise, it's been a learning curve with bright flashes. He notches early wins, drops a rivalry game in Mexico, then gets through the Nations League quarterfinal. The 2025 Gold Cup is a stress test with a rotated roster because some first-choice players were at the Club World Cup or carrying knocks. They sweep the group, survive a wild quarterfinal against Costa Rica on penalties, beat Guatemala in a semifinal that felt like an away game, and then lose a narrow final to Mexico 2-1. There was even that controversial non-handball call on Jorge Sanchez's plant hand. He was vocal about it, but the laws now protect a support arm more. Tough margin.
Fast forward to the 2026 World Cup group stage, and you see the adaptation he's known for. A hybrid 3-4-3. Same pressing DNA, but tailored to the U.S. pool. The 4-1 against Paraguay is arguably among the best U.S. tournament performances ever. Then a 2-0 against Australia makes it 2 group wins for the first time in nearly a century. It's the classic POC thing, principles over formation. Aggressive press, quick transitions, and fluid rotations where wingers and midfielders interchange to pull defenders out of lane.
I also find his human side compelling. He talks about energia universal or universal energy, like momentum and chemistry that flow through teams. Some people hear that and go mystic, but I hear a coach trying to name those intangibles that players feel. He's also all about daily standards and integrating youth smoothly. At Tottenham and Southampton, he made sure the academy learned the same patterns, so call-ups could slide right in. And his family's woven through his work. His son Sebastiano is a fitness coach who tailors the conditioning to the press. His other son, Mauricio, plays professionally too. It's very all-in.
One detail I like, when he first arrived in England, he used a Spanish interpreter for press conferences, even though he had some English. He prioritized precision over optics. That's very Pochettino. Clear messages, right words, and no confusion for the group. Also tracks with the academic turn he took after retiring. He studied sports management and followed through all the licensing. He builds cultures deliberately, not just vibes and a whiteboard.
Okay, let's get to the heart of a lingering debate. The 2002 World Cup, Argentina versus England. Michael Owen goes down in the box, referee Pierluigi Collina awards a penalty, Beckham scores, and that 1-0 basically sinks Argentina's campaign. I've watched the replays so many times, I lean toward harsh. There's contact, sure, but Owen is clever initiating it, and in that era, the threshold often let more physicality go. Context matters, right?
I hear you. I still think it's a fair call. In the area, if a defender steps through and there's enough contact to impede, you risk it. Collina was known for reading body mechanics well. Owen's run is crafty, but Pochettino's leg is there. In slow-mo, it looks softer, but at real speed, it reads like a trip. Not gonna lie, I think 9 out of 10 refs give it then, and probably now too.
But why do you think it still sparks this level of debate decades later?
Because it sat at the intersection of rivalry, expectations, and tiny margins. Argentina were contenders, England had their own pressure, and one moment decided a heavyweight match. When the moment is that consequential, every frame of contact gets litigated forever. Also, hand on heart, Owen was elite at manipulating defenders in the box. That's part of attacking craft, so fans can credibly argue both sides without being ridiculous.
Fair enough. It doesn't define him. If anything, it hardened his sense of detail under pressure, which echoes in pop culture moments like Tottenham's 2019 Champions League run. The Ajax comeback is one of those nights people tell stories about for years, and the 2016 match at Chelsea, love it or hate it, became a Premier League flashpoint. Those scenes turned his teams into folklore characters.
All right, counterfactual time. What if Espanyol had found the money to finalize that long-term deal around 1999-2000, and he never went to PSG? No Paris chapter, no French Cup run, maybe different networks, different languages in the day-to-day. I could see him becoming a one-club icon at Espanyol and then sliding directly into their front office or academy sooner. But I'm not sure he gets the same European breadth that later helped him manage superstars at PSG or navigate England.
I'll take it a step further. Without the PSG stint as a player, maybe the managerial PSG job in 2021 never materializes. That changes his trophy map. If he doesn't have that League One title, people might underrate him in some circles that prioritize big, shiny things. And if the France chapter is missing, maybe he isn't as comfortable hopping into the multinational melting pot that is a national team job. Funny how one unfunded contract can ripple through decades.
Totally. And in the real timeline, that blend of Argentina's intensity, Spain's tactical schooling, and France's big club context sets him up for the USMNT moment. You see it in the hybrid systems, the belief in young players, and the insistence on daily standards. Even the quirky belief in universal energy plays like a reminder that confidence and connection are part of performance, not just drills and spreadsheets.
Kind of gives you something to sit with. The sheriff from Murphy, the bus rides, the Bielsa lessons, and now a home World Cup cycle shaped by pressing, adaptability, and a very human touch.
Stay curious about how ideas travel. From Rosario to Barcelona to Paris to the US, same principles, new shapes. That's the heartbeat of Pochettino's story.